sit down. As you sit down, why don't you say amen again like you mean it? And everyone said? All right. We got lots of people online wanting to stay warm. Again, I said no judgment there. It was tough this morning. I don't know, I went to bed pretty late. I was up pretty early, and I was like, I'm feeling it. And but we're glad you came. I'm glad you're here. If you want to, you can move a few rows up, some of you. I mean, we got some space here, so feel free to do that. But I'm excited to minister today. How many of you excited to be here? Let me know. I'm going to be asking those of you watching on Facebook, YouTube. I'm engaging with Facebook right now, so there'll be definitely some opportunity for you guys to chat at me. So I see Margaret's here. She always joins in online. Fabian's been coming online. Bonnie Severite's online. Kat Davidson's online. So we thank you for doing that. Keep them coming. Keep the chats coming. How many of you know what today is? Boxing Day. So I hope that this last Christmas season, it was a time for family and friends, and maybe Christmas isn't the most wonderful time of year for you, like that song says for some people. Maybe you've experienced some loss, and Christmas reminds you of that loss. Maybe because of COVID, you've lost a job, and it's not the most wonderful time of the year. So wherever you're in, whether it's you got to spend time with family, and it was amazing, and it was full of love, or maybe it just kind of points out some of the loss in your life, I'm glad you're here today, watching online with us, where you can come into community and to family, and we can care and love for each other. Aren't you glad for that? I'm glad for that, and I want you to know that God still loves you, God cares for you, and so do we. So today's Boxing Day, the day after Christmas. Does anyone know where the term Boxing Day comes from? I kind of, obviously, friend Google. The Boxer Rebellion? I did not know that one, so Pastor Jim will have to come share that. That's a different one. Just me and thinking about it on one of the ones, I thought it probably came from, the Boxing Day sales we have right now. And you know how they make those one item in the place that's $10 and everyone lines up for it? It was probably from the fights that happened over who got that deal, right? They start boxing each other. It's probably not that, because that would have been more recent. But I've seen Black Friday sales in the States that straight up are a riot. Right? So maybe I was thinking maybe it's that. I looked up a few other things. It wasn't the Boxer Rebellion. I'd like to hear about that one. But the ones I kind of just quickly looked up. And again, these are theories. There's no, for these ones, particular evidence. But one was that it came from the idea of an alms box in churches that they would put out, what's the word? The narthex of Christian churches. I had to look that word up. It's just the entrance of Christian churches. Much like we do, they would put alms boxes out, and it would collect money through December, maybe a little bit longer. And then on the day after Christmas, they would break open the alms box and give it to people in need. So that's one of the ones that someone talked about that. And we have similar things, I thought that was a good one. In Britain, one of the things on Boxing Day was it was a time when those who were servants, those who were errand people, those who worked for someone else, obviously Christmas was a big time of the year, and so they were all busy during Christmas serving and doing other things and taking care of things. But on Boxing Day, the people, their bosses, the landowners, different things like that, they would give them a Christmas box to then take to their family. They get the day off. They get to spend time with their family. It would be full of leftovers, bonuses, presents for the family. So it was a Christmas box that you got the day after Christmas Day. I actually thought it was probably one of the theories I had on my own before looking it up was that it was because of all the boxes left over after everything you've opened, right? Me and my dad did a bunch of recycling, but I think the most boxes I ever had to do was for Doorstep Go, where myself, Pastor Jim, and my son crunched a bunch of boxes back there and had to recycle them from all the Doorstep Go stuff. So, whether boxes of whatever kind or whatever Pastor Jim said with the boxing thing there, it has to do mostly with the idea of boxes and something to do with boxes. And this got me thinking, how many of you are present wrappers? Are you the ones that wrap your presents? How many of you have just given up on wrapping? If you're online and you just put it in a bag now with some paper, right? Because it's just way easier. I still haven't got quite there yet, so I like to, in my frugalness, not cheapness, frugalness, remember that. Right, babe? So this year I had about 13 or 14 presents, and I like to beat the wrapping paper system. I had boxes, and I had it all laid out, and I started planning. And let me tell you, a Christmas miracle occurred. At the end of wrapping all my presents, there was not one extra out-of-place piece of wrapping paper, a strip that you had to cut and leave. Every piece was used, and it made me happy. It made me content. I had beat the wrapping paper system. So what I try to do, though, is as I'm doing it, because I'm frugal, I want to use the least amount of wrapping paper possible. So I find I'm going to get this thing that I have into the smallest box possible, so then I waste the least amount of wrapping paper. So here I have a body pillow. Anyone ever used a body pillow? I have not really, but this was a treasure for my wife when she was pregnant. So she used this a lot to, help with all that. So this isn't new, but here's if, say, for instance, my wife was getting a new body pillow. No, she's not pregnant. We're not pregnant. We're not having another kid. That would be another Christmas miracle of a different sort. But if I were to take this box and I was trying to do this, right, and I thought, hey, this is the box, no matter how hard I tried to shove and be careful and work this in, there's no chance that I can get this pillow into this box. No matter how hard I try. I have a sleeping bag that's a down-filled sleeping bag, and those things are meant to hike with. And they start big, and I can pack that thing into something small. But I cannot pack this into this box. Why? Because this box has a certain capacity that it can handle. And so, okay, I go like this, and I'm like, well, it's definitely not going to fit there, but I'm going to fit it into this box because I want to, I only want to use a bit of less wrapping paper. So I started to, shove things like this in. And you can kind of pack, and I thought this is going to be close. I had a few like this, and I can make this. And then I started thinking, if I put some duct tape on it, it'll hold it in. But I quickly realized, gifts like this, guess what? This box as well, no matter how hard I tried to stuff, does not fit this body pillow. Why? Because it has a certain capacity. And so no matter what I wanted to do, no matter how efficient I wanted to get, the box didn't fit it. But this box here, if I put it into this box, it fits it comfortably and even has some room for more. Same pillow, different capacity to handle the pillow. This box makes it look like a piece of cake. We try to shove it into this box, and you're going to have some issues. And so I realize no matter how efficient I try to get, there's always going to be a certain box that I just can't get it into, and I'm going to have to go to a bigger box that can handle what I am trying to put in and wrap. Are you with me so far? So I had to move to something with a bigger capacity to handle that present, that gift. And I don't know about you, but it got me thinking to sometimes life can sort of feel like this. And you either end up on two sides of the spectrum possibly. Maybe you're the side that you in when God was handing out talents and abilities and gifts, right? You felt like you got a lot. Have you ever said this about someone? Man, that person has so much potential. They have so much ability, so much gifting. The best analogy I could do for that is I'm a sports fan, and they have these things called the draft. And what that is they draft, amateur players into the professional NFL, NBA, MLB, all the professional leagues. And if you get in the first round, you're a pretty good player. But if you're the first pick, everyone looks at them and says, man, these guys got a lot of talent, a lot of abilities, a lot of giftings. We're putting all of our money in that this person is going to turn out. And some do, but some you look 2-3 years down the road and they barely are playing and they're known as busts. They didn't turn out. And I think this happens on this side. Somebody had great giftings, watch this, but their capacity, the box to handle the giftings was not big enough. The character, the framework to put the giftings in wasn't big enough. And so when they tried to handle what they had, it didn't work out. So that's one side. The box doesn't work because you got a lot of giftings, but you haven't learned how to manage what you have, and so it doesn't fit it. The second side is maybe you're there and you're thinking, man, when God was handing out, the abilities and the talents and the giftings and the brains and the looks, I feel like I was at the end of the line. Right? And you look at that person and you go, man, look what they got. Oh man, that guy looks good. That girl's hair is beautiful. They're so smart, and I just feel like I was at the end of the line. So you feel like your talents and abilities could fit into this really comfortably. And this is all you kind of have to offer in that kind of box. And so you see your gifts and abilities and talents, maybe you see that as way smaller than those around you. Maybe in either case, whether it's you have a lot of talent, but you haven't been able to figure out how to live life with it, or you don't feel like you have much, whatever ends up happening is you feel boxed in by some limitations. Anyone ever felt boxed in by your limitations? Whenever I have to deal with car issues, I feel boxed in by my limitations. And I just say, it's the amalgamator valves, they're not working. That's not even a car word, but see, if you don't know about cars, that sounded like something important probably. They're not firing, and so there's many things that, my capacity to handle that is off. I was actually talking to Aylin, this isn't in my notes, but anytime you become an expert at something, it's almost like you know a different language, a whole different thing, whether it be dance. Aylin, give me a few words of dance, like steps and moves. Arabesque. I think that's when you spin. No, see, I'm way off. Give me another one. Pirouette. Well, thank you. You've bailed me out there. That's kind of that one. And so music has it all. Intervals, harmonies, augmented fifths. When you become an expert, you have the capacity to handle that. And so sometimes you get in an area where you go, I just don't even know what's going on. And so maybe you feel like there's things in your life that have been boxed in. Wouldn't it be great if there was a way to figure out how those things that feel limiting, whether because of abilities, because of talents, or whether because you have a lot of talent and haven't figured out how to use it, wouldn't it be great if there was a way to figure out maybe how to unbox something this morning? Unbox yourself and figure it out. Listen, December 26, 2020, last year's, was called Boxing Day. December 26, 2019, 2 years ago, was called Boxing Day. December 26, 1950 was called Boxing Day. December 26, 1901, it went back a while, was called Boxing Day. But what if December 26, 2021 could be known as Unboxing Day? Pastor Jim said I was going to do something with boxes, so... What if 2021, December 26, was the day that you started saying, instead of Boxing Day, it became my unboxing day? Come on, someone look to the person beside you and say, today could be your unboxing day. If you're watching today online, why don't you chat at me right now and say, today could be my unboxing day. Why don't you let me know? Sydney's here, Liz is here, bag with tissue papers. There you go. You guys are letting me know how you wrap presents. Love that. Adrian's watching. Why don't you chat at me and say, today could be my unboxing day. So we're going to talk about, instead of Boxing Day, Unboxing Day. And hopefully something that's been locked in could possibly be free this morning. We're going to jump into Matthew, who was a disciple of Jesus. And this is Matthew's account of a day with Jesus. He followed Jesus, so he got to experience a lot of amazing things. But this is one day in the life of Jesus that Matthew is giving an account for, where him and the disciples experienced their version of an unboxing day. And we're going to read about it. And this day started out pretty cool. If you don't know much about Matthew and Jesus was there, and there was some religious people trying to have a discussion, a theological discussion with Jesus, asking him, why did your disciples not wash their hands properly before they eat? That's a good question for lots of people. Maybe why do you not wash your hands after you go to the washroom? That's a whole other theological discussion. But in this case, they were talking about some rules and some regulations that have been passed down. And Jesus is saying, listen, the people that were asking this, he goes, you guys, the law also says to honor your father and mother, and you're finding ways to not take care of them. So you're breaking other rules. You just kind of have the ones you pick and choose. And so Jesus had a debate with them and kind of talked through that. And Matthew got to see that. And then a Canaanite woman came up to Jesus and said, I need some healing. My daughter, there's something going on. And Jesus called her a dog. I don't want to get into that today. But he goes, man, it's for the Jews. Healing's for the Jews. And she said, even the crumbs fall from the master's table, the dogs get the bread. And he goes, you have amazing faith, your daughter's whole. Matthew got to see that. And then after that, it was a busy day. So they go up by the Lake of Galilee and they sit on a hill. And of course, Jesus' fame is getting pretty well known at this point, so people start gathering around, and that's where we're jumping into this passage, Matthew 15:29, and we're going to go through some verses. We're going to read to 31 right now in the Good News Translation. Thank you, Jonathan, saying it could be your unboxing day. Adrian, Daryl, Kat, Chrissy, thanks for watching. Thanks for joining in. I'm getting lots of feedback online, you guys are doing great. It's delayed, 30, 40 seconds delayed. So Matthew 15, 29 to 31, Jesus left there and went along by Lake Galilee. He climbed a hill and sat down. Large crowds came to him, bringing with them the lame, the blind, the crippled, the dumb, and many other sick people whom they placed at Jesus' feet, and he healed them. Guys, I'm excited for today's message. In the natural, I was exhausted, but man, this message got me pumped. Listen, we could stop right there and have church. They brought this stuff, but I don't want to get ahead of myself, and he healed them. We're going to jump into this. But yeah, we could stop right there and be like, that was an amazing day. Matthew's watching this happen and saying, man, this was a crazy, amazing day. The people were amazed as they saw the dumb speaking, the crippled made whole, the lame walking, the blind seeing, and they praised the God of Israel. See, people just came to Jesus with their needs. Watch this. People came to Jesus with their limitations. Their capacity was hindered in some way. If you're blind, you're hindered in being able to do something. If something's lame in your life, if something's crippled in your life, often the miracle is not the dumb speaking. The miracle would be dumb just being quiet, but that's a different kind of dumb. Maybe you'll catch that, and maybe that's not too appropriate. But when dumb speak, you're like, no, please don't speak. But that was a different kind of dumb. But whatever your situation you're in, listen, this is the picture I want. They came in with some kind of limitation on what they could do. Their capacity was hindered in a certain sort of way. And we take this to mean physically. They couldn't see, they couldn't walk, their arm couldn't work properly. But what if there was a parallel or an analogy of things in our life? See, you may not be blind with your eyes, but what if you have blind spots in your life? Maybe you are blind relationally in an area and you have something that's hurting the relationships in your life, and it's holding you back because your capacity to handle that in your relationship is limited by the box you've put yourself in. And so you can't be able to handle it. Maybe you're blind in your emotions. Maybe you're blind in your spiritual walk. Maybe there's some things that you're lame in because of the past and some of the stuff that's happened to you, and it's holding you back. Your capacity is being limited because of the lameness or crippleness or something like that. And when you bring it to Jesus, it says he healed them. See, they came in one condition, they came in one way, and they left different. The thing that held them back, the blindness that held them back, that limited them, the lameness, the dumbness. Come on, anybody? Some dumbness ever hold you back? You wish you could rewind the tape and go, if only I wasn't, brought my dumbness to Jesus and he helped me out. But they left different. They left set free. The thing that constrained them, that limits that was put on them, was broken open in that moment. So today, you may have some things, if you're here or if you're watching online, some things that you feel are hindering you, making you lame, holding you back, crippling you, keeping you in a box. But I'm here to tell you today, Jesus can set you free. I'm here today to say Jesus can set you free. And you may go, I've been a Christian for a long time. I don't have any areas. Guess what? You probably do. You probably can be more free than you came in today. If you're watching online, you think, I'm not sure. Guess what? I think everyone can be a little more free. Everyone has more capacity to step into what God wants them to do. Come on, someone say to your neighbor, today is my unboxing day. If you're watching today, we're going to say this a few times so you get it into. Chat at me again on Facebook. Let me know. Say, Pastor Derek, today is your unboxing day. Why don't you type that? Give me some encouragement so I believe it as well. We can believe it today. Let me know today is my unboxing day. Matthew 15:32. Jesus called his disciples to him and said, I feel sorry for these people. Other translations say, I have compassion on the multitude. I bring that up because I love the idea of compassion. I preached it a few weeks ago that when we're meeting needs, when we're reaching people, it has to come from what? And not what? Oh, babe, you get the gold star. It has to come from compassion, not compulsion. It's got to be motivated by seeing how God sees or how Jesus saw them. See, Jesus had compassion on them. It says, because they've been with me for 3 days and now have nothing to eat. Thank you, Carrie Lynn. Today is my unboxing day. Jen Link's encouraging me today. Thank you, Jen Link. Keanu is encouraging me. Today is my unboxing day. Hugh, thank you for encouraging me today. I feel it. Woo! We got a strong online group. I just wanted to stay warm. I get it. Whew. It's hot in here, though, so we're good. So Jesus said, because they've been with me for 3 days and now have nothing to eat, I don't want to send them away without feeding them, for they might faint on their way home. That's Matthew 15:32 if you're looking for it, Xavier. I went back to reading it. He said, I don't want to send them away without feeding them, for they might faint on their way home. Side note here, this is just me. I don't feel bad for these people. They've just spent 3 days watching Jesus heal everything. But isn't Jesus amazing? He's just spent 3 days exerting everything he has out of him. And before he wants to send him away, he says, I have compassion on him. What have you been doing for 3 days, Jesus? And he goes, I don't want to leave them physically hungry. That blows my mind. That's compassion, by the way. He goes, I've been giving. How many times do we say, we've given, okay, I'm done. And Jesus says, I've just, imagine the spiritual exertion and physical on doing this for 3 days. Preaching, healing, and then he goes, guys, we're not done yet. I want to make sure they're taken care of as they go away. That's an amazing picture of compassion. Okay, I'm off of that. Matthew 15:33. The disciples asked him, where will we find enough food in this desert to feed this crowd? I've had these moments sometimes in a meeting and Pastor Jim says something like that. Hey, let's do this. And I'm like, where are we going to find this in this crowd? Like, that's what the disciples are saying. They're like, we've been in a like they say, where do they say this? Where will we find enough food? And we'll talk about this. In this desert, all of a sudden it's a desert, right? Like they're pointing out, this just ain't any place. This is a desert to feed this size of crowd. They're quickly going, Jesus, we got this much. And what you're asking for is, this much. In this desert. And I just wonder things. I try to insert myself in the story and say, what would I be doing here? But I'm like pondering. I'm like, listen, how did the disciples not connect 3 days of miracles with the possibility Jesus could help do something with the food? They just watched him spend 3 days healing lame, healing crippledness, making the dumb speak, making the blind see. And Jesus says, we need some food. And they're like, oh. Watch this. You know why it could happen? Because there could be some areas in our life that we've developed a big capacity for, and other areas in our life, we're still not there. Watch. You could have a big revelation on healing, and you seem to be able to walk in health and healing, and you have a huge capacity, but when it comes to finances, you just seem to struggle. Or you could have a good capacity for finances, and everything goes well, and it seems God is always blessing you, but when it comes to relationships, it just seems to be one bad one after another. So the disciples, even though they spent 3 days of seeing this, it didn't translate into another type of capacity. It overwhelmed them. But here's another thought on this too. Remember, the disciples and Jesus were in a desert-like thing. They weren't sitting there, they ran out of food. They're in a desert. It's dry. And I want to say this, when it's interesting that with 3 days in the desert causes the disciples to start forgetting what Jesus had done. And even though I'm trying to parallel it to us, there could be some circumstances in our lives that are desert-like. And we could be days removed from Jesus moving in our life miraculously. But it's amazing when you're going through something, how it's almost like you forget everything else. And when Jesus says something, you're like, Jesus, how is this going to happen? Where are we going to get enough food for this in the middle of a desert? And so 3 days of a circumstance facing it, it's amazing. Jesus could have moved a week before, but it's like, what's going on, Jesus? I don't know how we're going to do this. It's just human nature sometimes. So that's what the disciples kind of going through some of that. And then obviously the disciples looked, I just imagine them there. Jesus says, they say, where will we find enough food in the desert? And they look and they go, here's us. Here's thousands of people. And Jesus says we need to feed them. They go, this is like, they were very quickly, their capacity was brought to the forefront in an instant. Their limitations on what they can do was brought to the forefront. And in an instant, they looked and said, we don't have enough capacity. We don't have enough capacity to be able to feed these people. Our box is too small. We don't have enough to be able to do that. And so maybe you haven't asked the question, where will we find enough food in the desert to feed everyone? But maybe your question is something similar but a little different. I got to get a water for this one because it's a lot of questions. How you guys doing this morning? How's everyone doing online this morning? Today could be unboxing day, body Severite. All right, we got some people saying it. So maybe you asked a different question. Maybe you've asked this question but with different words. Where will we find money enough to pay for this bill? Where will we find time enough to serve at the church? Where will we find love enough to carry on with this relationship? Where will we find compassion enough to keep on reaching? Where will we find strength enough to deal with our special needs child? Where will we find hope enough to think that our life will ever change? Where will we find ability enough to succeed at this project? Where will we find joy enough to get us through this depression? Where will we find grace enough to overcome this sin? Where will we find peace enough to withstand this loved one's death? Where will we find food enough in the middle of this desert? I'm sure we've all been in places like this for different situations. A version of where will we find food enough in the middle of this desert? My box, it only has this much money. My box only has this much time. My box only has this much compassion. My box only has this much peace. My box only has this much emotional stability. My box only has this much. Where will we find enough in the middle of this circumstance? In the middle of this storm? Man, I feel the presence of God in this place. It's an unboxing day. This box does not have enough capacity for everything I need to do. I'm only a regular pillow person. I can't handle the body pillow. Matthew 15:34a. The beginning here. And Jesus says, how much bread do you have? That's a profound question. We'll get into it. He says, how much do you have? I'm here to ask you today, as God is saying, how much do you have? What's in your wallet? No, right? That's for offering time, right? But how much do you have? Jesus asked. I'm sure the disciples were sitting there going, Jesus, duh. They probably didn't say that. Lightning would have come down and, no, I don't know. But they probably like, Jesus, we have been with you the 3 days. We had food, we ran out. There's no 7-Eleven in this desert. There's no Max in this desert. What do you mean, what do we have? We have nothing. You've been with us. Why are you asking us this, Jesus? And maybe Jesus is sometimes you felt has led, or a preacher's gone up and it felt like it was asking you something that you were like, why, preacher? Why are you asking me this? What's going on, Jesus? Why are you saying this? You've been with me. You know I don't have enough. Anyone ever felt like Jesus is asking you that? They say, hey, shouldn't we be asking you this, Jesus? You're the one who can do all the miracles. What do you mean how much bread we have? Matthew 15:34 continues, and they say, we have 7 loaves, they answered, and a few small fish. So this goes to tell you their frame of reference again of how they see themselves and their ability to handle this situation. Because we have some fishermen that were disciples. How many fisher people here? Anybody like fishing? Anybody online like fishing? If you like fishing, let me know. But you know with fisher people that when you go out and they're telling you about the fish they caught, the fish, oh, I fought it and in and out and I had to do all this, and when I caught it, it was this big, you know? Like size matters to fisher people. Like they're going to exaggerate bigger than smaller. And so these disciples in this moment were clear to say to Jesus, and a few small fish. We're not talking about big whales here, Jesus. It ain't this big. They're the tiniest of fish. And as fisher people, they would have known that these fish, they would have eaten fish and probably could feed not even all 12 of us, Jesus. So we have 7 loaves and 2 small fish. Not the big ones, Jesus. The small ones. And so you may go, we got some people like fishing. Kaylin says Draylen, Keanu, Jen Link like fishing. And so you go, Jesus, why are you asking us this? You know, Jesus, how much we have. You know that we don't have much food. You know that this food's not enough. What is going on here, Jesus? And I think it's important to note this. Jesus was not asking what they had to shame them, to point out their lack. Jesus was asking what they had to try to get them to acknowledge it and own it. Watch. It's not to say you don't have enough. It's to try to get you to acknowledge that you actually have something. Because when the task at hand, when you're in the middle of a desert, when you're going through a storm and it seems too big, everything you have seems to not matter and it seems like not enough. So we tend to discredit what we actually have. And we go, oh, it's not enough because it's not the answer. I have a bill that's $1,000 and I got $100. It's not enough, so I discredit that $100. But Jesus doesn't say, what's the bill? What's the issue? What's the circumstance? Jesus says, what do you have? Woo! Oh, come on. I'm preaching myself happy. Come on. So he was asking them to get to acknowledge it or own it. See, the disciples did not want to own this problem. 7 loaves, 2 small fish, Jesus. It's not enough. You do it, Jesus. Why are you asking this? They were already putting up disclaimers. Small fish. It's not enough. But the reason why is because Jesus asked them that is because this, what seems insignificant to us, is not insignificant to Jesus. Someone say, today is my unboxing day. See, it doesn't matter how much capacity you have if you're here or you're here. It doesn't matter how much strength you have in the natural. It doesn't matter how much time you have. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter the amount you can fit into your box. Listen, someone needs to get this morning, online or in this place. Listen, no matter what we have in our box, no matter what size it is, no matter what capacity it is, whatever we have in our box, no matter what we have in our box, all Jesus wants to know is, are we willing to offer it up? No matter what it is, no matter how much it looks like, all Jesus is saying for this is, will we offer it up? Matthew 15, a few more minutes here. (35), just the beginning. We're going to stop on a few things going through these verses. So Jesus ordered the crowd to sit down on the ground. Then he took 7 loaves and the fish, gave thanks to God. I just have to pause here momentarily. I really believe that when we take what we have, even though it doesn't seem enough, and we're willing to thank God for what we have, it changes things. That's for free. Because so many times we get focused on what we don't have and what's not going right and what could be better, that we miss the potential in what we have. And it says Jesus took it and gave thanks for what they had. Not for what they didn't have. Oh, I'm going to preach here. This isn't in the notes, but I feel like I have to go here. Come on, faith people. Are you ready for this? Hopefully this is foundational. Watch. We tend to just thank God for what we're believing for. Remember, and I don't want to get messed up, and in everything give thanks, and for everything. I'm talking about what you can offer, your gifts, your talents. See, we only tend to be thankful for God. We thank you for the $1 million I'm going to get. We thank you for this. But what do you have right now that you can be thankful for? Because I believe when we get thankful for what we have and we're willing to offer it up to God, that's when we step into the other side where we can be thankful for that. See, you don't get to get thankful for the future unless you're thankful for where you're at and what you have. Come on, that's not in the notes, that's for free. See, yeah, my phone is dying fast today. Something must be running in the background. It's the pastor anointing, right? Got to charge it on the fly. So they gave thanks to God. And it says, Jesus, verse 35 to 36, we'll read a bit more. Jesus ordered the crowd to sit down on the ground. It's not that bad, babe. My wife's going. She's leaving. She's had enough. She's done. So Jesus ordered the crowd to sit down on the ground. Then he took the 7 loaves and the fish, gave thanks to God, and did what? It's on the screen. Is it on the screen? Can you see it? Gave the thanks to God and broke them. Did what? See, I believe if Jesus would have handed back whole fish and whole loaves, it wouldn't have fed the people. Watch. Jesus took what they had and the constraints of what it was, 1 fish and 1 loaf, and he broke it open. He took the capacity, the physical limitations on 1 loaf of bread and a piece of fish, and he broke it open. And he got into it and said, when I break this thing, there's some breakthroughs about to happen. We're going to break off the strains of this fish and this loaf of what it should do. And I believe that was significant, because if he just tried to hand back the box or the capacity of it, it wouldn't have been enough. But Jesus said, when I break this, something broke over the physical limitations of that thing and what it could do, and it became limitless with Jesus. And the box, the thing that held him in, Jesus said, I'm breaking it. Somebody needs to hear today, God is breaking some boxes open. Whew. All that turkey's slowing me down today. Whew. Jesus broke the limits off what they had in their box. Broke the limits of what they had to offer. It says, then he took the 7 loaves and fish, gave thanks to God, broke them, and gave them to the disciples, and the disciples gave them to the people. See, we read this sometimes as Jesus feeding the 5,000. In this case, the 4,000. I'm going to call it 7,000 because it says there was children and women there. Might have been more, probably was, but we're rounding to 7,000 in this case. But we read this as Jesus feeding the multitudes. But this miracle, watch, and then I'm wrapping up here. This miracle was not done for the 7,000. This miracle was done for the 12. I actually believe he probably was talking to the 12 off to the side a little bit. And the miracle of what they saw was done for the 12. But watch this. The effects of the miracle touched everybody. Because it says this. He broke them, and what did he do? Did it say Jesus fed everyone? No, he gave them to the disciples. And the disciples jumped in and said, well, guess we're doing this. And the effect of that, the disciples then ended up feeding everyone. Jesus wasn't the one who fed the 7,000. The miracle was done for the 12. But the effects of the unboxing, the breaking open of those barriers, the capacity was for everyone. Once Jesus broke open a box, their capacity, their ability, it had an impact on everyone around the music team. You can fill in here. Listen. Don't get distracted as they walk up. It may seem like to you that it is only 7 loaves and 2 small fish. Listen. I'll give it a moment because I know as soon as people move, there's distractions. I'm wrapping up here in record time because it's Boxing Day, Unboxing Day. We're unboxing the long service, the restraints of long services. Not saying that. But someone needs to hear this. It doesn't matter that you look at it and you say, remember, sorry, Kim, this was a nice box. I think you gave it to us and I just crushed it in front of you. It doesn't matter that you see it like this and you say, it's only 7 and 2, Jesus. There's 7,000 people. It's only this much, Jesus. There's this big bill. There's only this much that I have to offer. And this relationship is really rocky and I don't know if it's going to last. It doesn't matter that you only have 7 loaves and 2 small fish. Someone needs to hear this morning and get this in their heart. Your 7 and 2 is all God needs to do what he wants to do. I'm going to say that again. I'm going to say that again. We're not late. You can't be tired yet. It's 11:45. Come on, someone stay with me. Don't lose this. Listen, your 7 and 2 is all God needs to do what he wants to do. Your 7 and 2. It's not enough, God. The circumstance, no. What do you have? What do you have? God is asking today, what do you have? Because your 7 and 2, when offered up to God, goes in one way and one form. Jesus gets a hold of it. He breaks apart the boundaries. He breaks apart the limits. He breaks apart the capacity that's holding you back, and he hands it back, set free, unlimited, and says, they seem like 7 loaves and 2 fish, but guess what? It's going to feed 7,000 people, and in the process, there's going to be 7 baskets left over. Oh my goodness. Am I saying it wrong? Your 7 and 2 can feed 7,000. Watch, and I'm done. It's your unboxing day. It's my unboxing day. You can play something, Nayland. I don't know, whatever. Noodle Leland. Oh. Doesn't she do a great job? I know she's my daughter, but man. I treat her like any other musician and straight up just tell her like it is, and she handles it like a pro. That's pretty amazing. I feel God in this place. I know there's not a lot of people, and usually I kind of get frustrated with that. I said, God, I think there's going to probably be 40, right, babe? I was hoping for 80 and thought there'd be 40. But I said, hey, who's here needs to be here, and I hope it's going to go out because I was so excited to deliver this word for whoever was going to be here. And hopefully it spreads out. But your 7 and 2 is enough to feed 7,000. And so when Jesus comes up to you and says, Tanika, what do you have? Samantha, what do you have? Judith, what do you have? Rob, what do you have? And you say, we don't have enough food in the middle of I don't have enough. It's only 7 and 2. Jesus, we don't have enough. What do you mean, Jesus? How much do we have? Jesus, you know we don't have enough in this situation to meet this need. There's 7,000 people out there. You don't want to miss this, okay? You don't want to miss this again. I've been saying this a lot. But the tendency is to, when we don't have enough, to say this. Watch. Once I get enough, then I will. Once I get more time, then I will. Once I get more money, I'll start to bless more. Once I get more patience, once I get more love in return, then I will be nice. And the way we try to get the enough is by getting more. Once I get 14 and 4, then I'll start. Once I get 21 and 6, then I'm going to start to give. Once I get 28 and 8, once I get 35 and 10, once I get 42 and 12. Once I get to there, then I can start to give. No, you're missing this. You're missing the important things. See, we want more and we say, God, come and bless us. But listen, the unboxing did not happen because they found more loaves and fish. They didn't walk out and go, okay, we only have 7 and 2. Let's go gather more loaves and fish in order to meet this need. It didn't happen because they found more loaves and fish. The unboxing happened because they gave what they had. I'm just saying this different ways. It didn't happen. The more than enough. It didn't happen because they got more loaves and fish. It's because they said, we're willing to give what we have. What do you have? Those online, I'm asking you this morning, God is saying, Jesus is saying, what do you have? Because today is an unboxing day. Why? Why, Jesus? Why do you need what I have? Listen, this is why. Jesus does not want to do just do things for you. He wants to do things in you. He does not want to do just do things for you. He wants to do things through you. Matthew 15:37, I love this picture. It says, they all ate. How many ate? Just the disciples? Just half of them? No, all the people there ate. See, we get worried and say, my 7 and 2 is not enough. I don't have enough. And listen, your 7 and 2 in the hands of Jesus is enough for all that God's called you to impact. They all ate, wait, including the disciples. They ate and had enough. They're like, I'm full. I'm good. I ate to my full. Their needs were taken care of. The disciples' hunger was taken care of. But it says this, then the disciples took up 7 baskets of pieces of leftovers. Who got the leftovers? Jesus? No. The 7,000? No. Who got the leftovers? Disciples. Who offered up? Now I know it came from some other places, but I'm saying they offered it up. Not only did it take care of their need, they all ate enough, but they left with 7 baskets left over. The unboxing is not just for you, it's for those around you, but there will be leftovers in the process. So God, how do I get the leftovers? How do I get to this more than enough? How do I get to do this? Give what you have. And it'll meet your need, and it's in the meeting others' needs. They said, we're going to feed the 7,000. As they did that, there was enough for them. Guys, don't get worried. There'll be enough for you, but not only that, there's going to be overflow when you do this. I believe this. There's some things waiting for you on the other side of your unboxing day. City Center Church, there's some things waiting for us on the other side of our unboxing day. City Center Church Online, there's some things waiting for you on the other side of your unboxing day. But it starts with saying, are we willing to give what we have? Listen, this challenge here as we end out this year, and we're going to have a word. Brad's going to bring something great. I've got a word for the new year and kind of leading us into it. But I want in this next week to find ways this season, from Christmas here as we end it into New Year, to ask to give Jesus what you have. Listen, you may say, listen, I don't have an hour or 2 hours to sit and pray and read my Bible. I got 3 young kids. It's crazy. What do you have? You may have 10 minutes, but 10 minutes can change your life in the hands of God. So you may say, I don't have a lot of money. I can't give a lot. I don't have a lot of it, but maybe you just need to give what you had. There's a story of a widow woman who gave 2 mites, and it was more than anything else anyone gave because she was willing to give what she had. You may not have a lot of abilities, but maybe you can give what you have. It may just be 2 talents, but in the hands of God, He can multiply it, and it can become limitless. Maybe you say, I don't have much hope, but why don't you put your hope on Jesus this morning? Maybe you say, I don't have much peace. Why don't you put your thoughts on Him, the perfecter of peace? Give what you have. Listen, give Jesus your 7 and 2 and watch what Jesus can do. It's your unboxing day. I'm done. And now I'm trying to think of a way to unawkwardly transition to music. And I prayed and meditated on what to do after this, and I didn't get any clear direction.
God, I offer what
Here we go.
I have.
That's why.
I give it to you. Here I am, God, I offer what I have. Do what only you can do. Here I am, God, I offer give it to you.
Hold on, we're going to sing that some more, but I want to jump into what my wife is saying here. Listen, why don't we take a moment? You're watching online, wherever you are. Why don't we quiet ourselves before God and sing this and say, whatever we have, God, we're willing to offer it up to you. If it's the 7 and 2, whatever it is, Jesus, if you ask me to do it, what's in my hand, I'm going to offer it. Why don't we take a moment and say, in this next season, as we step into this year, we are going to offer what we have, because it's the condition for unboxing some areas in our lives. And so I believe God is saying, I want to do something through City Center Church. I want to release some capacity in your life you've never seen before. I want to break the limits off what we've seen at City Center Church in your lives. But he's saying what you have to be able to do is willing to offer it up. So I want you to just kind of get a moment and say, God, whatever area of my life, maybe there's been some areas that you've held back and you know you haven't been able to